Welcome into One of One Sports. It is the last day of the college basketball season, so it's time to do a way too early top 10 for next year's college basketball season. I know typically it's a top 25, but with so many players still in the portal and the portal still being open, so more can enter, draft decisions, there's just so much still in flux there's not really enough teams to fill out a top 25, not enough rosters are set. So this is just what the top 10 teams are right now, but I do have a few honorable mentions that we'll get into and who could potentially move up into this. This video was really hard to make. I apologize if there are any errors. There's just so many players still entering the portal. It's hard to keep track of and make sure you're up to date on all the news. So I really appreciate if you guys would leave a like on this video. But without further ado, let's get right into it with the honorable mentions. Just in alphabetical order, I'll just go through each of these quickly, what their strengths are, why they're not in the top 10 potentially. So Arkansas, I mean, it's really simple. You have two of the top guard recruits in the country, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. And this reminds me of a lot of John Calipari Kentucky teams where you had this dynamic backcourt that led you really far. Just like watching them play in like the McDonald's All-American game, a few of their high school games, I do see shades of what could be like a De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk backcourt, maybe even like that Tyler Ulis, Jamal Murray backcourt, which led Kentucky to some really great seasons. I could see the same happening at Arkansas. You're also going to have guys potentially returning like Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, Trayvon Brazil, DJ Wagner could return as well. But now the limitations are you definitely lack size right now. You need to go out into the portal, get probably a power forward, a center, or maybe they're still in it for Nate Ament, one of the top recruits of the country. He would help. But yeah, right now they're just lacking size. The roster is not complete, but certainly a really good start. Baylor, just when I was prepping for this video last night to make for today, they were higher. They were borderline. Like I was debating to putting them in the list, but today Rob Wright enters the transfer portal, best freshman on the team. He was Big 12 first team all freshman and was going to be your starting point guard next season. So that hurts, but you're still an honorable mention because you've done really well in the transfer portal, bringing Wyoming transfer Obi Ogbin, really good shooter, really good scorer, Michael Rataj, a really good power forward from Oregon State. JoJo White was a good player at Omaha. So you're bringing in these transfers from schools that maybe weren't playing the highest level competition, but these guys thrived. And you also have some players coming back. You're going to lack size probably again unless you can figure that out in the portal. And you bring in, I'm going to butcher his name, but Yesufu, I think is how you say it, one of the top small forward recruits, 5-star recruit as a freshman, clearly models his game after Anthony Edwards. He looks like him in a lot of ways too. Wears like the sweatband thing on the elbow, the way Anthony Edwards does. But there's certainly upside to Baylor here, and they're really well coached. But yeah, you need to fill a few more holes. BYU, it's really you're bringing in AJ DeBansta, the number one recruit in the country, right? You could certainly move up to as high, like maybe even top five, if guys like Igor Demon and Richie Saunders decide to return. Right now, I think Saunders probably does. Demon probably doesn't. So right now, BYU, you're lacking a point guard. But yeah, you have one of your best, or definitely your best recruit ever. Richie Saunders could be all Big 12 coming back. You have size. But yeah, you just need more backcourt play with Demon probably leaving and Hall transferring. So that's something they still have to get out of the portal. Creighton got some big time portal guys from Iowa, Josh Dix, Owen Freeman to fill the Kalkbrenner, Stephen Ashworth departures. You also got a kid from, I think, is it Charlotte? That might be the wrong school, but something Graves. He was like a 17-point per game scorer wherever he was. And McAndrew was a freshman. He should be back, really good shooter. So there's a good start at Creighton, and they've been good the past few years. Kansas, it's a lot like BYU. You're bringing in Darren Peterson, who was right there with AJ DeBansta and Cam Boozer, who will be talked about later as the best recruit in the country, right? You pair him with Flory Badunga exiting the portal. You started to get some guys, guard from Loyola Chicago, Trey White from Illinois, starting to fill some holes, and this Kansas team is looking better and better. Still got a little ways to go, but you're getting there. And then Michigan, you're losing Danny Wolf, Vlad Golden, but you've got the top player in the portal, Yaxel Lendenberg. You got Merez Johnson Jr. You got Elliot Cadeau. You bring in Trey McKenney, 5-star shooting guard. LJ Kaysen to return. There's a lot to like. I think you need a true center, though, and you need some more shooting because right now A lot of the players are really talented, really good players, but don't have a ton of shooting ability. If you get a shooter, you get a big man. They're like they're in right now. Could get a Daymara potentially by the end of this video. Who knows? They could definitely, or they would definitely catapult into my top 10. But those are all the honorable mentions. Feel free to leave anyone you think I missed out in the comment section down below, or maybe they're going to appear later in the list. So, getting started at number 10, we have the Arizona Wildcats. I have the projected lineup here. Jaden Bradley should return at the point, Anthony Del Orso at shooting guard, and then a couple of five-star freshmen in Dwayne Aristode and Koa Pete, and then Kribis returning from injury at center, and then I have Toby Awaka as a guy that would definitely be part of rotation. You're definitely going to need more depth here. You're looking at guys like Braden Berries, potentially one of the second highest five-star combo guard, second highest, what do you call it, uncommitted recruit behind Nate Ament. Definitely, I would think is probably going to pick Arizona if I had to guess. So that would give you another guard. Tommy Lloyd, you're going to want 8 or 9 guys that you can for sure trust. So you're probably going to want to get 2 more players out of the portal. Probably a wing because Dwayne Aristode, Koa Pete, right now, Anthony Del Orso, like those are your best wings, right? And 2 of them are freshmen. And Anthony Del Orso, he's a good shooter, but he doesn't do much else, at least unless he improves a lot. So you're going to want to get another wing, land Braden Berries, and those kind of what you're looking for from this Arizona team because you are losing your main scorer in Caleb Love, probably losing Carter Bryant. If Carter Bryant decided to come back, this team would jump up a lot higher. I don't think that's going to happen. And you lose Henry Vasar, who I liked a lot. But Tommy Lloyd's been super successful as a coach. They've got some talented freshmen, and yeah, just get a few more transfers because they haven't landed any yet. Get like 2 transfers, land a big recruit in Braden Berries, and you're climbing this and look like a threat in the Big 12. At 9, the Purdue Boilermakers, who are going to return in all likelihood, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, CJ Cox, and Trey Kaufman-Renn. And Smith, Kaufman-Renn, first team all Big 10. Huge guys to return. Fletcher Lawyer, also part of that big 3 there. And then you bring in Oscar Clough, one of the top centers from the portal, 17 and 12 guy at South Dakota State. And it's really big because Trey Kaufman-Renn was playing a lot of the 5, and I think Purdue would rather him play the 4. You're also going to get over here at the others, Daniel Jacobson back from injury. He barely played as a true freshman. He was out for the season, but he's like a 7'3" guy. Purdue loves these really, really, really tall guys. He'll be there. And then Harris can give you backup guard play. You're going to want to probably add a wing. Like it hurt to lose Miles Colvin. So you probably want to add a couple of wings from the portal. I think a guy like Kaden Catchings would be somewhere Purdue could look. But yeah, I think that's the biggest need for them. But yeah, as long as you have Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn, they're going to be one of the best teams in the Big Ten again and one of the favorites next season. At 8, we have the Iowa State Cyclones, who do lose a decent amount. You lose Jackson, you lose Curtis Jones, and you lose Keyshawn Gilbert, but you return Taymon Lipsey, Milan Momcilovic, and probably Joshua Jefferson. There's some rumors that he might enter the portal. I haven't seen anything on him actually doing it. So for now, I'm assuming he's the starting center. And then you add Mason Williams, a guard from, I believe, Eastern Washington, good player there. And then Jamarion Bateman, top 50 recruit, I think can start for you as well. You've also added guys like Eric Mulder. Haven't seen him play, but he had the highest offensive efficiency or offensive rating, not efficiency rating, in the country. I'm not really sure how because he doesn't shoot the 3. He's like 8 points a game. I don't really know what he did that helped the team so much because I haven't watched him. But he's there. Blake Buchanan gives you center depth and potentially replaces Jefferson if he leaves, transferring in from Virginia. And then I put Torrey here, but it's really, there's like 3 big recruits Iowa State landed. There's a German guy, there's Torrey, and there's one more wing I'm forgetting, any of whom could break out and be a part of this Iowa State lineup as they are talented guys, but I don't know too much about any of them or watch them play enough to know which of those guys I think is the best. But Torrey's the highest rated, so I put them here. And this is a really good start for Iowa State, blending young talent transfers with returning guys. They come in at 8. 7, we have the Kentucky Wildcats and Mark Pope's second year. And yeah, you bring in Jalen Lowe from Pittsburgh as a point guard, which I think is huge for you. He was, I think, 3rd team All ACC, really good player. Atoga Owe, your leading scorer, should return, be a really good shooting guard. And then I went with Jasper Johnson to start right now at small forward, even though he's more of a two, but you can play this three guard lineup. He's a 5-star freshman recruit for anyone who doesn't know. Cam Williams transferred from Tulane, really good shooter, more of a three, slides down to the four. And then I went with Malachi Marino, the 5-star freshman center, over Brandon Garrison, who I have as your backup five. And then Lewis is a borderline 5-star recruit point guard, like just outside of that. And then I went Perry and Chandler were two freshman guards who got to play. They could be in the rotation, and then Noah, more of a wing. So right now, I think if you were to land a guy like Nate Ament, who you're in the top five for, right, and then Camp Williams, I think it's Camp Williams, slides up one spot to the small forward. Nate Ament slides in at power forward, and now Jasper Johnson's off the bench with Lewis and Garrison and any of these other three freshmen coming into their sophomore year. This Kentucky team is going to move even higher because I do think you just need to get a true four. To play here. I would really like a true four, and you could play this lineup at times, but you definitely want to have a real power forward for different matchups that you'll have to face in the SEC non-conference play. So I think that's the biggest thing for them to get to move up higher on this list. At six, we have their in-state rival, the Louisville Cardinals, who have just killed it in the transfer portal. You land Adrian Woolley from Kennesaw State, 18 points per game as a freshman. Then you land Conwell from Xavier. He was their leading scorer. You land Isaac McNeely, Virginia's best player at shooting guard. And you bring in Mikel Brown Jr., who's a true freshman recruit, highest point guard recruit in the country. The backcourt's going to be absolutely loaded. And then Roots is a guy coming into his sophomore year who I think can play the four. And then Scott played a lot of the five for you. He should be back. Khalifa's a guy who was hurt this year, could make an impact coming back from injury. And then I went with, I think it's Fernando Fru. He's a 4-star German recruit who I think has the potential to make an impact. We'll see, though. And this is another team, along with Kentucky, along with Arkansas, along with, I think it's Tennessee and Duke, who Nate Ament is deciding by the. But for the guys who don't know, Nate Ament, number 4 recruit in the country, huge player left on the board. If he picks Louisville, they will go higher as well. That's another thing with this. There's a reason it's way too early. There's guys still left out there that are going to make a huge difference. So, yeah, that's at Louisville, just probably the best back. You're going to have the best guard play, or at least among the teams with the best guard play in the country next season. That's enough for me to have them at 6. 5, we have Alabama, who's just been so good under Nate Oates. He runs a system that's going to produce a ton of points. It's going to work and win a lot of regular season games. And it's been fairly successful in the tournament. I mean, you were a 1 seed, you went to the Sweet 16. Then you were a 4 seed, you went to the Final Four. Now you were a 2 seed that went to the Elite 8. Next year, I think you're in position to be up there as like a 2-3 seed again. Aiden Holloway returns. Wright Selver was good early in the season, then got injured. He'll get the medical red shirt, be back. Darion Reed was a 5-star freshman who didn't get to have a ton of impact, but in his sophomore year, he has it under the portal. He can make an impact. Taylor Bowen looks to replace Grant Nelson, 6'10 power forward / small forward from Florida State who can shoot it. I like the fit. And then Noah Williamson from Bucknell. I think he's like 17 a game, a good center. And you already look to have a lot of depth. You've landed Jaleel Bethia. He was a top 10 recruit this year. Went to Miami, kind of disappointed. He has the potential to break out at Alabama. Aiden Sherrill can be your backup big, 6'10". He's going to go into his sophomore season. I think he'll make a leap. Houston Malete, I might be saying his rate. It might be Mallet. I'm sorry if that's wrong. But he's a 6'5 guard who probably gives you some decent minutes off the bench. And then you're bringing in 3 top 100 recruits as freshmen. They're shooting guards, small, well, basically all wings. I don't like. Last year, Darren Reed didn't make a huge impact. Nas Cunningham, who was another one of your top recruits, didn't make a ton of impact. He ended up transferring. But a guy like LeBaron Philon, who wasn't a 5-star recruit, ended up making a really big impact. So maybe one of those guys breaks out and adds to this rotation. Speaking of LeBaron Philon, Alabama could absolutely climb up if he decides to come back. For now, though, they are number 5. At 4, the UCLA Bruins, who this would be a huge leap coming from a 7 seed in the tournament to right now 4th in my way too early top 10, but they've killed it in the portal, right? You had Donovan Dent, top 5 player in the portal, 20 point per game score at New Mexico. He's instantly has a chance to be a first team all Big Ten player. And this was a team that was really, they were really just lacking offense. The defense was there. They just needed a true go-to guy. Donovan Dent can be that. Sky Clark returns, another good guard. Eric Daly Jr. returns, 6'8" forward. I like him a lot, actually. I think he's going to get even better. Bilodeau returns at the 4. And then you bring in Xavier Booker, a former 5-star recruit who disappointed at Michigan State, but could maybe break out at UCLA. And you've added more guys. Trent Perry was a guy already there. He returns, coming for his sophomore season. Can he improve a little bit, add more, be in the rotation? Jamerson's a center from San Diego, 10 points there. He's just going to give you depth at the big man position. And then Shannon Brown, I'd never heard of him before, but he transfers in from Kansas City, Missouri, the Roos, Kangaroos, but they just call themselves the Roos. And he's like 2-time all conference for that league. He's going to be a 5th-year senior or something like that, maybe just a true senior, but I think 5th-year senior. But yeah, when I was doing research, I found out we actually went to the same high school. So now I'm rooting for him, and he gives you depth on the wing. And I think right now this is a really good UCLA team. Yes, you lose Ade Mara. Yes, you lose guys like Dylan Andrews, Sebastian Mack. But I think your portal, what you've taken in the portal, has made up for what you've lost. And I think they're going to be really, really good next season. At number 3, we have the UConn Huskies. I think they are going to be back competing for a national title next year. You bring in Silas Demery Jr. As a transfer from Georgia, about a 13-point per game scorer. He can play the point guard position for you. Solo Ball, maybe he declares for the draft. Maybe he comes back. I think he probably comes back, but he's a really good shooter. I think he's going to get even better. Braylon Mullins, 5-star recruit at shooting guard. So you're running like a little bit of 3-guard lineup here. Really, really good shooter and kind of plays that Liam McNeely role. Little smaller, about 6'5". Then Stewart, power forward. He was a bench guy for you this year, but I think he can definitely start for you, and I think he'll improve. And then Terrace Reed Jr. Was really coming into his own down the stretch, and I think he can. He announced he's coming back. He'll be a pretty good 5-man for you. And you also have some depth already. Darius Adams, 5-star combo guard. So if Solo Ball leaves, he probably slides in. If not, or maybe he could end up starting. Who knows how good he ends up being? He's a freshman, but really talented. Eric Reeb, 7-footer, can stretch the floor. Also a 5-star true freshman. Potential to have Twin Towers lineups with him and Reed. And then Ross, another guy like Stewart, who was on the team, depth piece this year. You look to take another leap. So right now, I think I like this team a lot. Yes, you got to add another player from the portal for more depth. But yeah, I already like this team the way it is. If Solo Ball returns, you've already got depth. You got guard play, a lot of shooting. I think this UConn team will be really, really good next season. And now we get into the top 2. At 2, we have the Duke Blue Devils, who disappointed, or not really disappointed, but just kind of choked away a Final Four game against Houston. And man, that's going to hurt because you never know when you're going to get that close to a national championship again. And this team this year had all the ability to win it. But I would say there's a decent chance you could be back as soon as next year, looking at what they have coming in. Yes, you're going to be really young, but you were really young this year. So if you got the right guys, this team has all the potential. You bring in Caden Boozer and Cam Boozer. Those are the big ones. Cam Boozer, 2-time player of the year in high school. Like, he won it as a sophomore, then Cooper Flagg won it, and then he won it again this year as a senior. So ton of pedigree there. He's going to hopefully fill the void of Cooper Flagg. That's a lot to ask, but if there's anyone you would think could do it as a true freshman, it's probably him or like AJ DeBansta. But so you bring him in, and then you bring in his twin brother, Caden Boozer, one of the best passers, hit a really clutch shot in Chipotle Nationals this weekend as Columbus won it. That's Cam Boozer and Caden Boozer's school. He can play the point. Then Caleb Foster should be back, and he'll play the 2. Shelton Henderson, 5-star recruit at small forward. And then Patrick Gungba takes over for Kaman Maluak at center. Depth pieces, Malik Brown, one of the best defenders in the country, super versatile, should be back. And then I think it's Nicholas Kamina. Hopefully I said that right. Haven't seen him play at all, but he is a 5-star, 6'8" power forward who, could be really good. And then Darren Harris was a top recruit, like 4-star point guard recruit last year. Didn't make the rotation. I think he could next season. He's got a lot of shooting ability, and I actually like him a lot. He's got good size, and this Duke team would be a lot like this year's Duke team. Young, but with a high ceiling because of a lot of super talented freshmen, really tall, lengthy, probably really good defense, and would definitely be the favorites in the ACC. They could climb even higher if a guy like Isaiah Evans or Tyrese Proctor decide to come back, or if a Nate Ament chose Duke. Lots of ability for them to climb to number one because they were already really close, really considered them, but they are going to lose out. Duke fans aren't going to like this, to the Houston Cougars, who did just top them in the Final Four. But Milo Suzon should be back, as well as Emmanuel Sharp. And you bring in your best recruiting class in program history with 3 5-star recruits: Isaiah Harwell, 6'6" shooting guard slash small forward; Chris Cenac Jr., the best center in the class, 6'10", really athletic guy; and then Kingston Fleming's a 5-star point guard, who I have right now coming off the bench. JoJo Tugler, best defensive player in the country, should return as well. Terrence Arsenault, versatile wing for them. And then Mercy Miller, who was in the rotation as a depth piece, plays the same role again. And you already know what you're getting in Houston. You're going to get great defense, and you're going to get great coaching from Kelvin Sampson. You're going to have veterans again, most likely, in Uzon, Sharp, and Tugler. But now you add the veteran presence with one of the best, or with the most talented freshmen the program has seen. I know Jarris Walker, arguably, but this is like 3 guys of that caliber, or at least close to that caliber. So the combination of this young talent, the veteran talent, with Houston culture, I think they might win the national championship tonight, but I think next year's team at least has the potential to be even better or just as good. And right now, they are my preseason number one. Now, there's still so much that's in flux. Guys entering the portal, guys still in the portal. So a lot of this is subject to change. And in a couple weeks, I'll probably make another version of this video that's been updated. But let me know, who do you guys think I left out? What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Until next time.